Is this making us live now?
It is. We're live.
Oh,
So, hello everybody. This is Ralph Havens and Miracles, Magic, and Coffee. This is episode number 3. And if you haven't seen the other ones, you can go to find those on my YouTube channel. And I'm super excited about today. I've been interviewing Don Lay over here. And this is our third time together, and we're having a great time. And he, if you haven't seen the first 2 videos, he had what's called a near-death experience. He crashed his motorcycle a few years ago, and I met him a few years ago when he was talking about it. And he had some really big insights, and he remembers and knows stuff from when he was over there on the other side. So, so if you haven't seen the first 2 videos, I think they'd be really cool to see. We're going to go with some really cool questions today. I was coming in to town and just had a bunch of really cool ones, and we had some people comment on the videos, so thanks for that, and I'll be asking some of those questions. So so first off, just welcome, Don. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Ralph. Yeah.
Let me pull up this. Okay, so it's really interesting how the world goes, the synchronicity sort of things, and we've had some really cool ones today. Like, for one, Don had a horoscope that talked about being shaken up on this lunar eclipse day, and he had a recent fall, so it's like, oh my gosh, kind of funny. And then I was thinking about some really good questions that were coming up about to ask Don today, and it goes perfectly with Don talking about his horoscope today. And so I'll just start with the first question. And one thing Don said that was really cool right as we were starting was careful, you might get an answer. So it's kind of interesting because we're talking about, when we pass on and when we're on the other side, and Don was lucky enough to come back and tell us cool stuff. So so I kind of have a lot of questions, and I'm just going to jump in, and maybe I won't be so careful. I don't know. Okay, so here's my first question. It's the one that I was coming in with today, and it's one of the things, for me, you know me, and I think some of you know me, I'm always looking for what's practical. Like, is it useful? Like, meditation stuff, manifestation stuff, the law of attraction stuff. Does it really make things better for somebody? Because that's what I get paid to do, is to help people get well. And so and that's what I want. I want things to be better for myself and my family, and I know you guys do too. So and you already do a lot of stuff to do that, and so you do this already. So now, how is this useful information, this near-death experience stuff? So I wanted to ask a question in the way it showed up this morning. Is this something you can talk about or tell us about? Like, is it kind of like a TV show, and the TV show is already taped, and the director and the actors have already done their thing, our lives, and it would be silly to think that some actor in a taped show is having these ideas of consciousness and what's it all about and wants to change stuff when we're watching it going, dude, if this has already been taped. Or is it kind of like it's a live show, a live TV show, and the actors and the director and everybody has their plan, but an actor can go a little rogue or like come up with his own ideas or change things and change lines, and like, a Jim Carrey or, what was this? Who's that guy? Oh, the guy that did Patch Adams, Robin Williams. It would just go, do improv sort of stuff. Is it like that? Or is it something where it's tape delayed and you can you have some say, but not all the say? And so is there anything you can relate it to? Like, how much control do we have here in the here and now? And is anything over there, any thoughts around any of that? So,
oh God, that it's very interesting to me, very interesting way of describing that. And when I think about it, for me, from what I experienced through all this, it's like we are sort of playing out a script.
Okay.
And it's on some level, we've agreed with ourselves, okay, this is what I want to do in this particular lifetime. I think I'll go in there and I'd like to be interviewed a time or two over, and here we are, or something. And at the same time, there is the room for the improvisation.
There is. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what that people keep relating to as free will. We can go with or not with what's happening, and
so horoscopes aren't set in stone.
No, not in the least. Nor is anything else, as I see it. It's just really what your question starts coming down to for me is consciousness. How consciously aware are we that we're in a movie? We're on a stage and we're acting out whatever it is that we want to act out.
So how conscious are we as the actors right now? But we do have some control in this. It's like a live TV show.
Yeah, it's like, how consciously aware are you of who you are? Okay, and that's one of the things about going out of the body like that with the near-death experience. It's like sitting there, and I was there. I sat there for 3 days, I guess, in our time, and that's real. That's
the other
real.
side is real.
Yeah, and that me there is real. Well, I'm also here if I chose to come back in, which I did. And so it's trying to maintain that connection with who we are and be here at the same time. So it takes your consciousness out of, or expands it from this body consciousness that we have and the earth consciousness, and takes it out to a bigger level.
That's interesting. Because an actor, I don't know, I've never been an actor, but you wonder how much, when they're in their role, how much they've completely lost who they are and they're just in it. I mean, if they were to stop, at the end of the day, they stop and they know they're still, George Clooney or whoever they are. But when they're in it, they're really in it. Is it kind of like that? Like you're playing your role really, really well, but you could stop at any moment and go, oh yeah, but I'm really this other thing.
Well, yeah. Again, I like this analogy. I think you've seen, at least I have in my life over time, I've seen actors or actresses that almost like started believing in the roles that they were playing, like that's who they were, and then they'd start to manifest that in their lives, and they're just living that out. And in what we're talking about here is coming into the body and starting to believe that you're a body. Okay, and so we're just playing out on that level.
We're really good actors.
Yeah, losing track of the fact that we just walked on stage and we're just playing this thing out. And can we do that without losing ourselves in that process, without losing touch with who we know we are on this other level? And for me, that takes it right back to my early childhood and some of the experiences that I had there late at night in my bed by myself, closed off from the rest of the world. And I'd play on this energetic level, and I would go places. And then if I tried to talk to anybody about it, it was just like, oh, nice imagination, kid, or something.
Yeah.
But what I discovered with the near-death experience was, and it took a while for this to sink in. I think I mentioned this before, but all of a sudden, one day it hit me, my God, what I experienced in that near-death space was exactly where I went as a young child, because I hadn't forgotten it yet. I still knew about the multi-dimensional aspects of it, shall we say?
Yeah, and so is it useful for us to be? I don't even know what. I mean, everybody has their different ideas of what would be useful for them, like manifesting things in the real, the so-called, the physical world. Is it, or useful in another way, like some sort of spiritual way or something else? But is it? How is it useful to know that you're this consciousness thing? How is that useful?
I guess I look at that as that's what we're all here to learn about.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So,
How do you combine these two different realities into one? And I don't know. This came up for me so long ago. I can't even remember when. When I was growing up, it's like the question of why do people reach a certain point and then their health starts to go down? And why can they only live so long? Who says? It just didn't compute for me. And where was that coming from? I don't know, but it was a question there for me forever. And it's like, if you break a bone, what's to stop you from simply healing that instantly? And it's almost, I guess I view it as, it's almost like we came into these bodies, and with all the information, all the concepts that we're buffeted with from the time that we're born, sort of the mass consciousness, the mass beliefs, okay, we're only this, and this other part, and then we'll set this other part over here and call it religion. And it's like, hang on, this is about having both of these at the same time. And it's one of the issues that I see around the whole thing of, what we talk about as spirituality. Well, in fact, I am that. And can I be with that as I'm going through my everyday life and having my everyday experiences?
Yeah. I think I'm getting a sense of it. Is it kind of like, you get those offers on TV or the internet, and they say, act now, or this offer is going away, and if the urgency of it and the scarcity, like only have 10 left, and you need to act now or you'll get it. Is consciousness kind of using this urgency and scarcity so that we actually live this life? Like if we just did live forever in this physical world, what would be the big deal? Learn it or don't. You have all the time in the world, but there's this urgency and scarcity. It's going to stop. And so if we didn't have that, is there anything? That's just an interesting idea. It just popped in.
Well, when you say that, what comes up for me is the all the concepts that we're taught as we grow up about you better get it right, and you only got so long. I mean, in this other dimension, time doesn't even exist, and so you're sitting there looking here, and it's like it becomes a cosmic joke, and it's like, oh, I really bought into that somehow, that time is real or something like that.
But our time here in the physical is like limited.
Because we believe that it's limited. And it's like the part of me that's unlimited is not the part that's just this physical body. The part that's unlimited is this broader, shall we say, part of me, this bigger part of me that's gone on for a long, long time and is going to go on for a long, long time.
That's reassuring.
Yeah, and the body has a hard time hearing that because it's dealing in hard, what can I... And then we start getting our intellect all involved in this. And it's, again, it goes back to our training. It's like, oh, if I can just understand it, then I won't make a mistake.
So it's not we're not going to, are we really going to be able to understand this whole, like, we're consciousness and we're physical too?
That, to me, is a function of, at this point, if you look at somebody who has what we might refer to as a very high level of consciousness. They're vibrating at a higher rate or a faster frequency, shall we say. And it's like when we start playing around with that aspect of being in a body, like taking our body vibration someplace that it's not used to being, then the body doesn't really understand what's going on.
Can you get some problems with that? Like, can you get accidents or weird stuff, or can things go weird if you go too far into this? Like, go very spiritual and become aware of that your consciousness, and then does stuff go strange?
Oh, I suppose it could. I suppose it could. The issue again comes back to what am I tuning into? Boy, this is difficult to explain, but I've got certain ideas implanted in my mind about what it is to be spiritual. And
like you do, or other people do?
Everybody. Every person on the planet. And so we're operating off of that, and it's like, okay, if I become spiritual, then I'll be perfect, like Jesus was, or so, or Buddha, or whoever.
It can be a thing to aspire to. Some people are trying to do that, maybe, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so what it starts to do is essentially negate the human experience. What is it being in a body? What do I really enjoy? What makes me laugh? What makes me, and that was, again, I've referred to this before, in coming back into my body, all I could do was giggle because it was such a joke.
The things you took away were like to be happy, to be yourself, to live your actual clear life.
Yeah, those are the words that I'd use to describe that now, is, living a life to the fullest. The way that I've heard this expressed before by somebody back there somewhere along the way was wanting to be in a place to where when my life ended, I could go, boy, I used that one up. I actually utilized this body.
I like that.
Yeah,
I used that one up. I did that one.
I never, I didn't hold back. I let myself live life to the fullest. And I guess as I see that now, it's the opportunities to meld, shall we say, these two different realities. I'll relate to it as two different realities. It's much more than that, but it's like in pulling that part of me consciously more here and looking out at the world, all of a sudden I see life differently. And it's like then I'm more in touch with the enormous capabilities I have on that level. Now, will my body, how my body's been trained, will it let that in? Will it let me actually experience?
Like, will it let you do really cool, superhuman cool stuff, or like make a lot of money, or
all that
life, or
all that enters into it.
Get a cure for something.
And to me, that's the sort of what we came into these bodies to play with.
To do. So it's like it's kind of like, from the way I hear it, it's to kind of, so it's I don't know how to say this, but like consciousness to realize it's like, whoa, this is cool. I'm here. I'm playing. It's like knowing it's really so lifelike. It's like, holy cow, look at this kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, my experience of that in coming back, and this was, it took a couple, 3-4 months before I could even get out of bed, and essentially, and walking outside and looking at the trees. It was like, oh my God, I had never noticed. And I've always been in tune with nature. I love it. But all of a sudden, there's just a whole nother dimension to it. And you start seeing how everything fits together. There's a flow here.
wow, you can actually see how it fits together. It's interesting. It kind of reminds me of how, some great painter could paint a bowl of fruit, and you just go, oh, that's beautiful. And it's a lot of people love it, and people see it from all over the world and go, oh, that's such a beautiful painting, and it's a bowl of fruit. And yet a bowl of fruit sitting here on the table doesn't elicit the same response.
Yeah. Oh, that brings up a lot of stuff too. I remember and how everybody sees that painting is they're seeing it from wherever they're seeing it from. I mean, it's like from there, maybe they're looking at a bowl of oranges that the guy painted, and it's like, I'm allergic to oranges, and I look at that painting and I recoil, whereas somebody else, it's like, oh God, these, it's just mouth watering. And it's like, I remember I was in Australia one time in the middle of the outback, and somewhere along on that trip I ran into a painting by an Aboriginal artist, and it was of the gum trees, they refer to them there, and the whiteness that he had in the bark of this tree, and there was sort of a starkness about it all. It was attractive to me in some ways. And then sometime later, when I was out there wandering around and I was looking at a tree, and it's like, oh my God, he was capturing what those trees looked like, and I couldn't even see it until I'd seen the painting.
Is that what art does? Like captures consciousness, looking at the world, like that, whatever that is? Is that kind of is that also the goal that you're talking about, that, or like the thing that we're here to do is to like notice that sort of?
Learn how to see what's real. If you wanted, how far do you want to take that? And it's like, it's real that everything's energy. I mean, people have been talking about that forever. And, and now quantum physics is saying, yes, that's true. And even the spaces in matter, where you've got these big spaces. Well, that's part of matter. Space, it's like this whole thing works together. And it's like, then if I want to translate that into what's going on the planet today, it's like, wait a minute, we're all a part of this.
So, can you, like, when you say you to have an understanding how it fits together, and to see through that consciousness eyes of like, oh wow, look at all this stuff. How does it all fit together? Is there something we should like? Is there anything that you can tell us about how it fits together? Or, I don't know. That's a good question or not.
I don't know either.
That's a good question.
And I don't know what the answer is going to be. Okay. It's to me, what it is. It's all a flow. Everything's moving. It's sort of, if you look at some of the approaches to physical health as an example, take acupuncture. It's all designed in some ways around the flow of energy. So if there's a blockage in the energy, you need to release that blockage so that the chi can flow, that kind of thing.
And so can you do that sort of idea or thing to navigate through life, like see where the blockages are and shift something, and then life's better here, or your connection, knowing your consciousness is better, or like, is there something for us to take away from that, to like live a life that might be more useful or something for us? Like you play with this energy. Maybe another way to ask it is, do you or can you or is there some way to play with this energy or these blockages in our world to manifest things, like health or happiness or?
Yeah, the way I see that is, definitely. definitely, and there's as many approaches out there around how to release blockage as there are people. I mean, it's like, and the first thing, before you can release anything, you've got to acknowledge that something needs to be released. And that's where most of us get into difficulty, is because we form really strong beliefs that might be blocking the energy flow. Okay?
So belief can be an energy block.
Well, I recently I was reflecting on that a little bit, or more accurately, it just popped into mind. And what came up for me was our beliefs create the bed within which our consciousness sleeps.
That's a cool way to say it.
And so you may want to shake the bed a little bit. And that's all the beliefs that you've got. As a matter of fact, you may go as far as to say, I need to just destroy the bed so that there's no place for the consciousness to sleep anymore.
So, yeah, you make your bed and then you lie in it.
That's exactly it.
Oh, and, so interesting. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You make your bed and then you lie in it.
Yeah. And
it's a big lie.
And then it's a huge lie, because, again, it shuts us off from the totality of who we are.
So okay. So this brings me to something somebody asked on one of the videos. He said, and by the way, he really liked your video. He's looked at a lot of people that have been through near-death experiences and listened to them, and a lot of them talk about meditation. And is meditation something to do that can help shift these beliefs, or connect up with what we really are, and so we can see the world as this more magical place, and maybe manifest things differently, or and if there is there one that you do, and is there one that we can do, and is there one that can kind of bring us to a place where we have some connection to whatever you got from this other side? That's a big question, but what about meditation?
That's a huge area to step into. And I liked that question, and also appreciated the feedback. That was lovely. And it's like, and it got me thinking a little bit. No, I've never run into a meditation that sort of deals with what that space is like that you enter into. And at the same time, I want to say almost every meditation that I've run across addresses that in some way.
Hang on 1 second. Yeah. Does anything else do that? What we were just talking about, what meditation, what we're looking for, something to connect up with consciousness, like having fun, like sex, or running if you love to run, or scuba diving if you love to scuba dive. Is that a way to connect, or no? It's like meditation doesn't quite cut it, but is there something else that cuts it?
My experience of that is, oh God, if something gives us pleasure, being happy is pleasurable for me. If I'm in the dumps, that's not very pleasurable. And so again, it's that vibrational level. Where am I putting my focus? And yet it's not to shut anything off. It's to allow myself to choose where I am at any time. If I find myself in the doldrums all the time, then I might want to start to allow myself to be aware of what's the belief that I've got here that says I need to go there.
Oh, look for your beliefs.
Yeah. And so when I look at somebody, you bring up sex, and it's like, through the pleasure of sex. Well, there's been ancient forms of sex that have been used specifically to expand consciousness. And the problem is we've got it all narrowed down in our minds or whatever to this one little level of pleasure that's very physical. And and it manifests differently in every person. But if we can start to
like to call it spiritual or something.
yeah, and that can be even without physically joining together. I mean, it's an energy of I want to say being totally aware of this other person, and not from an intellectual, but that I'm seeing them and I'm experiencing them in their wholeness.
Wow.
as I am sitting in my wholeness. Now that's kind of magical, if that happens, and I've had that happen just walking down the street.
Just walking down the street.
Yeah, where somebody would walk by, and they're in that same space, and I happen to be there as well, and it's like this huge recognition of the enormity of who we are,
Wow.
and two of those are coming together in some ways.
And so can we get that? Like, how do we get to where we can experience that or be that or notice that from somebody else or in a tree or something? Like, if it's not meditation, it's going to get us there.
Yeah.
Besides, like, having a near-death experience.
Well, I think meditation can certainly get you there, because one of the major things that comes up with most meditations is stilling the mind, which is another way of saying, turn off all the noise that's being created there by all the beliefs that you've got
So
that are
meditation can help
limiting
you
you.
get there.
Oh, definitely. And, it depends on what kind of meditation and what beliefs are attached to that meditation. Where, it's the same
Right. Yeah.
tricky little thing there.
So is there a recommendation for people in general with regards to meditation and experiencing this, or like having access to this, or is it all how could somebody do this?
Shut up. To put it simply, it's like just quit making so much noise and just and feel it. Feel the experience of being in a body. Feel it's like, first of all, getting out of that belief. And this is tricky, but I'll say it, and it'll be misunderstood maybe, I don't know. But it's like, I don't have a soul. I am a soul. Okay, let's shift this, and we do these strange little things as simple as that to start to be aware of that I'm not just a body. I am more than that. The consciousness that is me is much more than that. So what can I do to tune into that? Well, the first thing is shut up. And the remember a major teacher in my life that was going through some classes said, all I'm doing is showing you how to die. And when I reflect back on that, it's like, oh my God, because essentially the bottom line of everything that he was doing, as I see it, had to do with how can we make that transition in a seamless sort of way between here and there. Okay, how can I slip from here to there? Well, to me, that's it. What's the consistent piece there? The consistent piece is me.
Yeah.
And me is much more than my body. So it's like, if you get rid of all the constructs that we've got and you can start to touch that, or just set it aside.
Yeah, just touch that. That's a really cool thing.
Yeah, and whatever beliefs you set aside for the moment, you can always pick up again at the end of it.
They might be useful.
Carry on. Well, it's not making anything bad or good. It's just understanding how this whole system works. It's about what works and what doesn't work. We're starting to get it that war doesn't work. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's take it to that extreme.
Yeah, I see what you mean about just shut up. Just you're looking to see what you really are, but you said it in a way that was very. I got it on a different level.
Okay.
Yeah. That was yeah.
Yeah, and even when we're, I mean, boy, that starts opening up a whole other realm here of how real is energy for us, that we are an energetic sort of thing. And I remember at one point when I was teaching classes, a woman came up to me after one class and she said, "You could have been up there reciting Mary Had a Little Lamb." And I was sitting over there and all this stuff coming up for me. It didn't matter what words you were using because we'd been playing with this stuff enough to where I'd go to where you were speaking from.
And when you speak, are you just coming? Do you tend to like think ahead of time what you're going to talk about when you talk to groups? Or
yeah, through all those years, I went through various phases with that, and I remember any number of times that I'd be sitting before class and I'd write out notes. Oh, there was all this stuff coming up. So I put it down and make notes, and I might have 3 or 4 pages of handwritten notes. And I'd walk into the class, and the first thing I'd do would be throw that pad aside. It was just automatic. I needed to get rid of that.
But was it still useful, like, to do all that preparation instead of just like wing it?
Well, so often it was, but it's like letting myself wing doing that. If you get it down, here's point 1, here's point 2, here's point 3, as opposed to going in and addressing what the energy is in the room, what's wanting to be dealt with. So you've got a group of people, and collectively, what are they holding out there that they're, in essence, they're questions. What's the energy that's wanting to be dealt with? And so I feel like when I'd be tuning in to what was going to be happening, and I'd make all these notes.
I got you.
And then
the preparation, you were still in that zone, even though it was ahead of time and it looked like you were preparing for it. You were tuning into what's going to be showing up.
Yeah, and then through the process of getting the class going, and it was almost like having to go through a prep with whoever was there to get them all at a level to where they could start to hear what was being communicated. And it's not sort of like my communication. I was playing a role in this, but it's like letting that pass through, shall we say. Letting my body be an instrument of expression of something that was trying to happen on a much larger level.
That's really cool. It takes manifestation ideas and really shifts the whole thing. Anything, some people, it seems like a lot of people, people come to me for specific things to shift. And there's certain things that I'm looking to do in the world, How does all this fit into having specific goals for whatever thing, health, finances, relationships, things? How does this fit into specific goals? This idea of allowing what's showing up to come through you, and also having some play in it. Anything for people that are looking for certain things? Like there's some people that hang out with me that have been dealing with chronic conditions. I can think of one woman that her big goal is she just wants to get out of her wheelchair so that she can walk again and be in nature. She loves taking photographs of nature, and while she can do some of that now, it's like she just doesn't get to go to the remote places the way she just dreams of doing, and her big goal is to get out of this chair.
Yeah. There's so many aspects of that question as well, but one is when I'm setting a goal for myself, it's like, where's that coming from? For a lot of people, in what you're talking about there in terms of health, It's they're wanting what's wrong
To go away.
to go away,
Yeah.
as opposed to wanting what's right to be enhanced.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
because this hurts, and so understand. I mean, that's part of the process that we go through, and so it's like, where am I putting all my energy? And so getting back to the whole concept of how real is energy for you, it's like, if all of my attention, I'm generating energy all the time. Every thought that I have generates an energy, and so if all of my attention is on the pain of something, then that's what I'm putting the energy into. I'm creating that on a constant level. Do you understand what I'm saying? As opposed to putting at least some of my attention
Some of your attention. Okay.
into, what's right. What do I and this starts opening up all sorts of doors around, people use appreciation. People use love. It's all of that to change the vibration. Those are very different vibrations than pain and agony and resistance. Okay, and I mean, I'm in essence dealing with some of that myself with the accident, the crash that I had, and the aftermath of that. I'm not 100% mobility that I had before, and yet it's continuing to shift.
Yeah. And so, what about the pain as a driving motivation to do something? Like somebody has a child and they just really want to get them well, and they go to the ends of the earth and they do all they can, and they think about it all the time, and they're driven to do this. Is that useful? I mean, it seems useful.
Oh boy, now we got a delicate one. You need to do what you need to do. Let's put it that way. And
That's pretty cool to hear. You need to do what you need to do.
yeah,
I like that.
I mean, I needed to go to a hospital. Now, let's say that I'm really heavy into this. I'm perfect as a spiritual entity. Therefore, I can do anything, and I can, and so I've got this shattered leg, and everything's just blown out. And it's like, what I needed to do? I needed to go to the hospital. Let's get it that simple.
Let's get real.
and I needed somebody to glue this thing back together so that then I could start working with my wholeness. Now, and I've heard of and I've seen
Miracles.
Miracles. Well, what's classified as miracles, and today miracles are different than they're going to be tomorrow because our understanding expands. But it's like I've seen instantaneous healing, but I don't particularly want to get stuck on. If I'm not in that space, then something's wrong with me.
Yeah, like if you don't make it happen, you didn't do it right or something.
Yeah, I need to do what I need to do. And so, okay. And I've seen some pretty interesting healing take place with people that may have gone routes that I wouldn't have chosen for myself.
Like, do you have an example of?
Chemo.
Oh, they went a conventional route and they got healed.
Yeah. And it's like, is there anything wrong with that? Well, boy, it's all over the field on that one. But, at any given time, how much of what it really comes down to is seniority. Who's senior here in this body space?
Oh, who's senior?
Yeah, me or my body. Let's start there.
Oh, who's senior?
Yeah, because
that's a cool way to put it.
The body is operating off of all of its concepts and its beliefs. And it's like, if I get outside that space, exactly. And so, again, without creating sort of a perfect scenario that I need to live in for, all
Yeah.
the time. And if I slip out of that, then I've failed. I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
but knowing who's the boss here or what's really going on.
yeah, because everything that I'm manifesting here is starts on another level.
Yeah.
And
Is this something that because of where you've been with this near-death experience thing, is this something that you have access to that other people won't until we're on the other side, for lack of better words, or is this something that people that are listening could also truly get? I mean, I think it is, but it's like, I'd like to hear what you think. Like, did you get something from being over there that you think, man, it's like, this is just something you're not going to get until you...
Yeah, well, for me, again, it goes back to the childhood thing. What I experienced there.
It then.
I was experiencing it then.
So you were.
And the number of people that I've talked to over the last couple of years or something that said, oh, I remember I had those kinds of experiences.
I know what you mean. I had things in childhood too that were funny like that.
And it's like, that's where we're coming from. I mean,
so it really is to be as a child.
Yes, it is. It's getting back to that being as a little child. And
how do we do that?
Well, that's letting go
the $1 million
of
question.
we get so caught up in this intellectual
like how to do
part.
How to do it part.
Yeah, how do I do it? Shut up.
Shut up. Quit,
Yeah.
quit not doing it. Stop not doing it.
And please explain it to me again so I can understand
Yeah,
it.
because I know the test is coming.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Okay.
Let's go experience it, and then worry about understanding it later, if
I
that's
like that.
even possible.
If understanding it's even possible.
Yeah.
But let's go experience it.
I mean, if you start going into
I like that. Let's go experience it, and maybe we'll get to understand it, but who cares at that point, because we've experienced it.
Yeah. And once you've experienced something, you can,
I like it.
I want to say you can go back to that.
You know it.
It's there. It may have been confusing for you at first. It may have been disorienting because you just shook up the bed.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like doing a little something. Is it okay if I do a little something?
Yeah.
Let's I was in getting trained up in my MacBook Pro years ago in the Apple Store. You could buy a little train up when these things were all new. And so I was getting my train up, and I told the guy I wanted to do podcasts and all sorts of things. And he goes, oh, cool. And so he's showing me all sorts of stuff. And he goes, well, first we got to do one thing. We got to pour a quarter cup of your 3-year-old into your head. And now start to just play with it. Because the computer is set up where you do 4 swipes this way and 2 this way. And there's different little secret codes that you do to this computer mouse pad and shortcuts and things. And you can pull up all sorts of cool screens. And my son Ben, when he was a little boy, would pull up all sorts of screens on my iPad and computer, especially the iPad. And I was like, how did you do that? And he was just playing with it, doing stuff. And so this guy told me, let's do that. So how about if we all take a quarter cup of our 3-year-old, and you can do it now by just not doing it. And we'll go 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. And there it goes. www art that makes you laugh. So that's really weird, right? That's cool. A van just drove by that said www art that makes you laugh. I'm going to have to Google that. But is that God talking to us? Is that consciousness? But I don't know. So we're going to go play as 3-year-olds, and I don't think we have to worry about experiencing the reasons why. I'm going to do that for myself, and you guys can do that if you like. Okay, cool. Thanks, Don. That is useful. I'm going to replay that one again.
Okay.
So let me see. That's awesome. I think I'm kind of experiencing something.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to hear what other people are experiencing, because I like that. Let's experience it, and maybe we'll understand it or not. But it doesn't matter. We'll experience it.
Just because you pour in, a quarter cup of your 3-year-old doesn't mean you're going to start wetting your bed again. Okay.
So you get to keep
like,
parts of it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a useful thing.
It's that open exploratory discovery part.
Okay. Can you mess this up? Like, can you do something like this and all of a sudden you get a result that's like you're wetting your bed again? Or can you mess this up?
I don't know.
That's what's maybe too much.
I suppose, we can mess anything up, but it's like, how much do you trust yourself is really what it comes down to. Because in that exploratory mode, you're trusting yourself on a certain level. If you're not trusting yourself, you're not exploring.
Wow. Okay. And since I can see my computer is on 10% power, we might have to have you back again if that's okay.
Okay. Sure. I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Awesome. Good. Me too.
Great fun.
One of the things with some of the work I do is they talk about there's no techniques, there's only trust. And it's a matrix energetics thing that Richard Bartlett talked about years ago, and it was like so freeing. And anything you want to say about like how we might trust ourselves? I mean, there's lots of stuff we got to like take care of, and some people make compromises in life because of this or that, or got to pay the mortgage, or I got to do this job I hate. But how can we trust ourselves more? Anything you want to say about that? That would be our sign off.
I mean, I could spend a whole hour just talking about that, I guess, but it's like essentially the way I think of that is not only trusting ourselves, trusting ourselves within the process, trusting the process. What I'm getting confronted with in this life is my process, and it's the process of unfolding. And how much do I trust that? Okay.
God, that's so good.
How much do I trust the universe? How much, if you want to take it there, how much do I trust God? To
that's
use
really
those
good,
words.
man.
Yeah, I'm. I came here with an intent. In some ways, I mean, I was aware of that with the near-death experience. When I came back in, I had an intent, and I knew what I was coming back for because I didn't feel finished with what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so, and then trusting how that unfolds.
This is super cool.
Yeah, I mean, because you're creating on such a huge level that we're not consciously aware of. And for everybody's feeling a little push in one way or another, it seems, to be more aware of that bigger level. I mean, we're being forced to be aware of our environment on a much bigger level.
Yeah.
I mean, these things work sort of back and forth. It's the same dynamic.
Man, oh man, this is cool. Thank you for that. I'm really interested. I know some people have been commenting that they're just watching Don over and over again. So good luck with that. But I'm kind of curious what it's like for you guys, of what you're experiencing, and just by whether you're understanding anything in your head. I don't know if I am totally, but I kind of like that idea now. But what you're experiencing. So leave a comment. It'll be on YouTube and Facebook Live. And let me know if you want me to get your information to Don. I will do that. And if you want to contact Don, let me know. He's told me you can contact me and I can get that information to him. So and I'd love to be doing more of these. So I feel I'm going to trust that it's going to show up. So yeah, any last thing to say just before we sign off, Don?
No.
Okay. All right, everybody. So yeah, please click like, click share, whether on YouTube or Facebook Live. And if you like these and you want more, let me know. And if you have any questions, let me know. So I look at all this stuff. I answer as much as I can, and it really helps to know you guys are that it's useful for you. So all right, this is Ralph Havens and Don Lay.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you, Don.
Great fun.
Great fun. Do we get a second cup of coffee or not? Okay, let's see. I think this is it, right?
Are we off?